Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on the Father Show. And yes, we have a great show today. We're going to be talking to a young man that just became a father a little over a year ago, and he's going to tell us a little bit about how that feels and how his life is being a new father. And we're going to talk about his company, which is called My Firestorm, which is a networking company. So we're going to talk a little bit about that too. But before we get to that, if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please go to The Father Show with Mike Thompson, click on that subscription button, and while you're there, hit that notification bell so that way every week when we have a show, you'll be notified. And if you are a man or a woman that has a man in your life or a son in your life, and you're looking for resources, things that can assist you in whatever situation you may be in, maybe the problem you may have, go to the Father Show with MikeThompson.com, click on resources, and there you will find national and local resources that you can call, get in touch with the person, and get the assistance that you need. We don't know you were there. We don't track anybody. So it's there. It's free for you. And it's also free for the people that are listing their resources on our website. We just want to make sure that whenever you need some assistance, you have a shop where you can go and get that information. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's talk about our guest today. Now, our guest is Phil Pelto, and Phil is a husband, father, ultra runner, adventurer, entrepreneur, and lover of life. He believes that there is nothing you can't accomplish with a little hard work, patience, persistence, and perseverance. As a business person, he started his sales career cold calling on the phone, selling chimney and furnace cleaning in 1996. He then went on to run one of the top offices for Victor Marketing, distributor of Cutco Cutlery. There, he learned the value of referrals and went on to found a business development networking company called My Firestorm. Now, My Firestorms helps its members grow top-line revenue with strategic partnerships and referrals. Through his company and professional speaking engagement, he has been able to affect change in thousands of companies and tens of thousands of employees. As a runner, Phil has continued to push his limits and now competes in the ultra marathons in the mountains of Colorado. Now, this past August of 2022, he completed the Leadville 100, which is one of the most iconic and most challenging races around due to the high elevation. If you ask him, he will tell you the key to his success in all things has been an open mind, a willingness to take chances and possibly fail, and a positive mental attitude. You will often hear him say, talk only happiness, talk only progress, talk only prosperity. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's welcome Phil Pelto to the show. Phil, how you doing, man?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm having a great day. And I want to thank you, even on the air. Thank you for sharing your son with me, Tico, for a moment. He is a cutie.
Thanks. Yeah, he definitely will brighten anybody's day. He's, pretty happy-go-lucky kid, like 95% of the time.
Yeah, and that's good. And you can see that. I mean, he was just grinning and he reminded me of my grandson, because I used to look at my grandson, the one I was telling you about that's about to turn 9 in 2 days. I would just look at him and hold him and say, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And he would just squirm around kind of like Tico did. And everybody could never figure out why. I don't either, but I loved it.
Yeah. Yep, it's awesome, man. I could just sit and watch him play for hours. So,
So, and today we're going to be talking, a lot about being a first-time father. And what are the few things that made you nervous when when you found out that you was going to become a father?
well, that is a long list. I think it was just the unknown, like I feel like I've got a pretty good grasp on all the other stuff in my life,
Hmm.
and this is a big responsibility, like taking on the life of another human and making sure that he gets raised properly, and that we're not doing things to mess him up, and I know that I'm not going to get it all right, and that also, that realization is a challenge for me also, because I'm maybe a little bit of a perfectionist. So um but yeah, I just wanting to do the best thing, and make the right decisions, and all, the the idea that you might not is
Right.
was stressful. So
And you're right, because you definitely won't. Not all the
yeah,
time. Yeah. Yeah.
so
And when
that
you
was that
come,
was probably the biggest.
yeah. Now, when you come across an issue that you see that you're not really knowledgeable about or may know exactly what to do, how do you solve that?
um my wife and I talk about stuff quite a lot. We've got a very good relationship, and open lines of communication, and we just probably spend too much time talking about things, and figuring out what the right move is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so yeah, and I have confidence in, we'll figure out the if it's not the right decision, it will figure out something that we both believe is the right decision, and
Okay.
take in as much information as we can, and I think we've all got a pretty good um, you know direction, and good moral compass, and we try to make the best decision that's going to be the best for Tico, and the best for his future. So I don't know. You do it the best you can with the information you got. So
Absolutely. And that's the thing that I've told a lot of people, that you have, some people say, well, I didn't do a good job. And I say it, I didn't do the best job and I wasn't the best father, but I did the best with the knowledge that I knew.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And that's one of the reasons we do this show. I want people to not make the mistakes that I made and other fellas have made in their lives, so that we can all strive to keep on being the best versions of ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Now, I like the fact that you stated that you and your wife really have a good open communication, and that helps you, and her for that matter, do the best for your son.
Yeah, yeah. I live it, right, and I think the things that we do, and the situation that you're in, you just assume that that's normal, right? Like everybody
Mm-hmm.
else is the same, and that's not always the case. And I realize, the more conversations I have with people, like I'm so grateful and so blessed to have found this woman, and and that we have the relationship that we do, and it all sort of um none of that was planned, but at least not by me. So, and but it's been great, and I think being able to have that super candid relationship, and being able to you know express our concerns about certain situations, and how we want the end result to be, and what's the best way to get to that end result.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been super amazing, and it's nice to have that open dialogue with the with the person that you're raising a kid with. So
Yeah. Now, was that something that the two of you discussed in the dating phase?
How to raise kids?
No, just the communication, the line of communication.
Oh, yeah. It's funny. I was telling this story to somebody yesterday over lunch. I the way that it worked out, I think a lot of people when they go on first dates, they're trying to present the best version of themselves. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like they highlight the good things. They either completely gloss over or omit the bad things, and you know, you make yourself sound a little better, right?
Yeah.
And that's normal and it's to be expected. And I had been dating for a couple of years and I was kind of tired of all that. And my wife and I met in Germany.
Mm.
And the circumstances around our meeting and then our first date were unique. And so I took her on a little trip and we had 6 hours in the car on our first official date. Um, so we drove from Munich to Prague.
Mm.
And uh, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put it all out there. Like, I'm not sanitizing anything. I'm just going to say, here's how it is. And you get what you get. And I was just assuming that that would scare her off and I'd never see her again and it'd be fine. And I could be like, okay, you know what? That was it was refreshing to tell somebody the, you know, unvarnished truth. And so after I did that, she was like, okay. And then she told me the unvarnished truth about her life. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, that's nothing wrong with that. And then because we kind of had aired out all our dirty laundry in the first 6 hours of our relationship, it was a real nice basis to start from, and we could just talk about whatever we wanted after that. So that's I think that really set us up for success in the future.
I would dare to think so. I mean, the fact that you okay, let's unpolish all that. Here I am, you know,
Yeah,
take me as I am, which is what they're going to be doing anyway. So
yeah,
go ahead and tell the truth. And the fact that she was able to do the same, and you was open minded and open heart, and you took it in and said, okay, well, fine. You know, at least I
yeah,
know there's no surprises that's going to come.
right.
That's good.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, it was awesome.
now, would you, you know, I would, but would you recommend other men to do that when they're first start dating?
I think so because it's going to come out sooner or later. And, you know, then you got to explain yourself if you didn't bring it up right in the beginning. Whenever, you know, they do inevitably find out whatever it is that you're trying to, you know, downplay, then you got some explaining to do. And maybe, you know, maybe you could have saved yourself, if that is a deal breaker issue, you
Mm-hmm.
could save yourself a lot of headache by just
Mm-hmm.
getting it out of the way and then saying, okay, well, this isn't going to work out, and that's fine. Let's move on and, you know, find somebody else that, you know, doesn't care about that thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100% I would recommend that. And, you know, and obviously, uh, I say that, but I, you know, like, don't show up on the first date and be like, well, you know, here's everything about me and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, maybe it takes a couple of dates to get through it, but definitely, I think it's good to get it out as soon as possible. So,
I I think it's good, and I agree with you. And the main thing I think is good to do it before you get married.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you don't save all that and then say, okay, honey, now that we're married, here's the real me.
right, yeah. That would be a bad idea.
Yeah, that's a little problematic.
Right. Yes.
So, what have you learned about yourself being a father?
Um, Man, that also is a long list. I'm learning that I think I had an uh, inclination that I would like it, but it's been a lot cooler than I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really nice. And then there's, uh, yeah, it's just been such a cool experience about, you know, watching him grow and experience the things that, you know, we all take for granted. But, you know, he picks something out of the garden and eats a strawberry for the first time, and he just thinks it's the coolest thing ever. And, you know, taking joy in those little things that, you know, I would have just glossed over in the past. You know, I'm very like business focused and trying to, you know, grow my company, and, you know, I've got all these other things that I do. And I sometimes don't take the time to smell the roses, you know, so to speak. And with him, it's, you do take the time, you know, you want to make sure that you savor those moments and, you know, appreciate all that stuff. And so it's made me kind of appreciate what's important in life. And, you know, I'm sure have a long way to go, and I'll look back 20 years from now and say like, oh, I should have learned that lesson sooner or whatever. But it's definitely accelerated that process for me, and made me, you know, appreciate all of those other things. So, yeah, it's been amazing.
Damn. I, and it is fun to see them grow. But I know with you being an entrepreneur and being, let me ask you, how long before your son was born that your wife had, and you were married?
So, let's see. This month we've been together for 11 years, and we got married uh, 8 years ago.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Wow. So y'all waited a while.
Yeah, we did. And then, you know, we just had him a year ago. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was a fair amount of time.
Hmm. And what did you learn in that time frame?
Oh, just without kids and being
Yeah.
together. Yeah, I mean, we did a lot of fun stuff, and we, you know, had, you know, we had to learn how to be together, and that was a change. I think, you know, her and I met in our early 30s,
Okay.
and so, you know, we already had some habits and some ways
Mm-hmm.
of doing things that, you know, you got to figure out how that fits in with another person, and you know, your thoughts and opinions about the world, and, you know, how a house should go and all that. So, you know, figuring all that stuff out, and then, you know, building a business and a life together and a home. And I think it was really important to get all that stuff sort of on solid footing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know not everybody has the luxury doing that or doesn't think about it that much, but for us, it was really important. And, you know, we took our time having kids because we had all these other things that we wanted to do, and we also traveled a ton. Um, and that's really important for us, and we'll continue to do so with Tico. I mean, he's only a year old now, and he's been to 10 states. So
Wow.
yeah, we just kind of throw him in the pack and, you know, take him wherever. Um, but, you know, making sure that we had a solid foundation to bring him into was important to us. And it also makes, I think, being a parent a lot easier, because I don't really worry about a whole lot of things, you know, that I would have 10 years ago or 20 years ago if I had
Mm-hmm.
had, you know, I'll be 42 in a couple of weeks, and my wife's 45. So we're, you know, we're older parents in the grand scheme of things. Um, but I think that makes being a parent easier and more, you know, less stressful for us. So,
Yeah. I know I didn't have my first child till I was 32.
okay.
And, you know, I know I learned a lot. And I was sound a lot like you. I knew I loved kids. I always enjoyed kids. And so and I've been around kids, so I knew a little bit. But I was thankful that I waited till 31, 32 to have my first child. But I still learning and had to learn a lot of stuff in between. And then I ended up being a single dad for 11 years.
Oh man.
So
That's a lot.
it's, it's really not that bad. I've had people to ask me, say, well, man, I've had women has even asked me, how do you do it? How did you be a single dad? And it's like you as a woman being a single mother. You get up, you do what you have to do, and that's it. It's
Yeah.
really no different. It's just that I'm a male and you're a female.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think you and I talked about that on our initial call. People, they ask that about a lot of things,
Hmm.
whether it be running a business or, running an ultra marathon or, any of these things. Like, how do you do that? Well, I don't know. I just do it,
Yeah.
like I don't have any other options. Like, I'm not sitting around planning it out, like you don't have a choice about whether or not you're going to raise your kids. You just do it. And if
Hmm.
they need to, they need to do something, they need to, uh, go to school, go to sports, go to, the doctor, like, you just make it happen.
Yeah.
So,
And that was one of the questions that I had. Being a husband and a father and an entrepreneur, we all know it's stressful and it's challenging. How did you balance all that? And then being an ultra runner, I know that takes a lot of time to be able to build up your lungs, especially in Colorado and in the mountains. How did you balance all that out?
yeah, it's, well, like I said, you just do it. And, some of the stuff, like I set my schedule up, to be able to, work around my wife's schedule and Tico's schedule. And, we both kind of work from home, which is nice. And it
Mm-hmm.
gives us a lot of flexibility. And one of the reasons I love being an entrepreneur and doing my own thing is that it
Mm-hmm.
allows me the flexibility to, take care of Tico when I need to. And, my wife has a big meeting she needs to go to. I can take him, and hang out with him and, whatever for a little while. And he'll jump on a Zoom call with me, and that's no big deal. And most people are, fine with it. Or, a lot of my work is just, emails and stuff like that. So he's got, a little play area around here. And, honestly, he's taken over our entire house. He has like 5 play areas, but,
Get
like,
used to it.
I'll move around. Yeah. So we'll move around to whatever play area he decides he wants to be in. But that's been, a shift. Like, you've got to plan around that kind of stuff, but you just do it. And then, with the ultra running, I'll get up early, get out of the house, go for a run. If there's, I need to go into the mountains to do training runs on the weekends, and some of those
Mm-hmm.
training runs are really long. So we'll camp the night before and bring, Tico and the family, and, we'll all, pick a spot, we'll camp. I'll get up early, go run. And by the time I get back, he's maybe taken a nap and, is ready for lunch or something. And, so it's like a family affair. We
Mm.
have a big, all of us are in it together. And, my wife has been really supportive of all of that. And, she'll sometimes take him out for a hike while I'm running, and then we'll meet up, in the afternoon and, do other stuff in the mountains. But, it's really, uh, I wouldn't be able to do it if my wife wasn't on board with
Mm-hmm.
this type of lifestyle. And Tico, obviously just being a year old, he doesn't really know anything different. So, he, has taken to it like a duck to water. So, yeah.
Now, were you doing the ultra running when you met your wife, or was this something that developed within that, what, 8 years or 8 plus
I
years?
Yeah, 8 plus years. So I was not doing ultra marathons, but I was running marathons at that time. In fact, the trip that I was on when I met her, um, we met, at Oktoberfest in Germany.
Oh,
And yeah, so, I was leading a trip to run the Berlin Marathon. And, I had just gone to Oktoberfest a little early prior to going to run. And then that's when we met, and why I was driving from Munich up to,
okay.
Berlin. But anyway, so yeah, that was part of my life at that point. And so she kind of knew that, that was going to be a thing that I did. But since we've moved to Colorado, which we've been in Colorado a little over 8 years now,
Mm-hmm.
it's progressed and become more, more of a thing. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, and it's great that you have that support, and especially being an entrepreneur too, because you have a company called My Firestorm. Why don't you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about My Firestorm?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're a business development organization and basically try to help small businesses grow top line revenue with strategic partnerships and referrals. So, everybody, I think if they're in a sales role or a business development role, or they own a small business, or if you're running a podcast or, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
everybody knows they should get out and network and, you know, expand their network. And you hear cliche things like your network is your net worth, and,
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff. So, but what does all that mean, and how does it work, and how do you turn that into dollars? And so we try and sort of demystify that whole process and put some structure and framework and education around that, so people can, uh, grow a network and nurture that network and leverage that network to grow their business.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've been doing that for 18 years now. So
Really?
yeah, yeah, um, yeah, it's been a while. And in the beginning, it was really just kind of a side hustle, just a fun thing for me to do to um, grow my own sales business. At the
Mm-hmm.
time, I was selling suits, custom suits for Tom James, and
Okay.
it was a way for me to get more clients, and it worked really well. And then when I got out of the suit business in 2009, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, and decided that this was the thing I was going to put my energy into. So it's been a full-time gig for me since then. So
And I know in
yeah,
Colorado, you say when I lived there, there was always a lot of networking events, and
yeah,
it really is. It's a great way to strategically meet someone and meet the right people that you can help, or they can help you, or
yeah,
both.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's part of the magic to what we do, I guess, is really being intentional about that, because there's a lot of events out there where there's not a lot of structure and framework, or intentionality behind it, and people just get together and you know don't really know what's going on. And so we try and put the right people together. It's almost like a business matchmaking service where
Mm-hmm.
I get to know you and your business and understand your ideal client and who it is that you're trying to meet, and then I can cultivate a group where everybody is there, and can provide the maximum amount of value to each other. So that's been one of the big shifts that we've made in the past probably 10 years. That's been really, really beneficial for everybody. So
And is that one of the things that set you apart from other networking groups?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that's the big one. And then we, with Firestorm, we're specifically a business to business organization,
Mm-hmm.
um, where all of our members are selling to other businesses. And then I have another organization called Certus that's more on the consumer side of things, where if you're selling uh, you know property casualty insurance, or auto insurance, or
Mm-hmm.
you're a chiropractor, or a real estate agent or something, we put all those folks together and get them same service, just for a different crowd. So yeah, I think the big thing is just being intentional about who we're putting in the room with each other. So
Okay. And with having a son and a wife, for that matter, do you find yourself having to be careful how much time you put into your business?
yeah, it's definitely easy to, especially with being your own boss. it's all work. There's no line between work and personal life. Especially having an office at home, I can easily get caught up in things and have, the time run together, and, be late for dinner, and like, oh, I'll just run upstairs, or after dinner, I'll run downstairs and do more emails. So you definitely have to be mindful of that. But I also feel like I'm not necessarily a workaholic. I don't have the tendency to work 100 hours a week like I used to in my early 20s. And one of the things that I've been extremely grateful for and cognizant of is that, I got into this business. I started, doing stuff on my own as a, entrepreneur, specifically so I could spend time with my family, and I want to be there when, Tico is growing up, and I want to be able to take him to school and pick him up from school and take him to soccer games and, whatever he's into, and be there for my wife and support her hobbies and interests. And, that stuff is very, very, very important to me. And it's more important than being, extra successful. Like, I mean, I think there's a delineation I should make between, you talk about success. Like, I think everybody thinks of financial success. And I get caught up in that sometimes as well. So like, I can be financially successful, but not be successful in, as a husband and a father and a, leader of my household. I can suck at all those things but make money. And I don't want to do that. I want to be successful on the whole. And I think that's super important. And, I kind of wish that society as a whole recognized and appreciated and celebrated, success on the whole more, which, whatever, maybe that's my own perception of things, and maybe we do and I just don't see it. But
no, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, if we're comparing Instagram accounts, I'm failing. So, but yeah, I think that's one of the things that I am very cognizant of is making sure that I'm successful in all those areas, and I will forego additional financial success to make sure that the other pieces are not neglected. And so I want it to all be, kind of successful and even keel. So, yeah.
So what are a few things you're hoping to instill in Tico?
Oh, dude, that's a big question. I think, again, we were just having this conversation a couple nights ago, and it's really important to me that he has a really good work ethic and, wants to pursue whatever I don't care what he does. I just want him to pursue whatever he wants to do with, a level of intensity and mindfulness and, seriousness that, he's going to see it through to the end. I'm a big, persistence and perseverance person. And I want him to make sure that he, if you start something, you finish it. And then, I think a couple other things that are really important to me are, an appreciation for family and for experiences and for stories. I think, the time with your cousins and your aunts and uncles and your brothers and sisters and, all that stuff is really important to me. And I want to make sure that, he has an appreciation for that, as well as the natural world. I'm maybe turning into a bit of a hippie these days, but I love to garden and go into the woods and forage for things, and I'm a hunter, and I I like that connection to nature, and I want him to have that and appreciate it. Yeah, and just the other thing that I think is important, especially these days, is like uh, a healthy skepticism for things. Like you know, question things and come to your own conclusions. Don't just take what everybody says at face value, because
Hmm.
that's not always the case.
No,
So
that's great.
yeah,
And you mentioned, to me before the show, just that your dad. So your dad was in your life, correct?
yeah, yeah.
What is one of the things that you think he really taught you?
Um, well, there's a few things I that pop to mind. One is every time I complain about uh, losing money or whatever, whether it be a bad investment or I screwed something up. Um, my dad was a mailman for 38 years.
Okay.
He's not a businessman. But every time I complained about something, he'd be like, "Well, that's tuition in the school of life," and and I'd be like, "Oh crap! All right, you're right." Um, and my dad is one of those people that has never met a stranger. He has just such a ability to connect with anybody, and he always has a you know he'll listen, and he's an okay listener. He talks a lot, and so he's always got a million stories to tell you. But he really has a genuine interest in people and in their well being, and making sure that they're you know they feel comfortable and taken care of and all that. So
Mhm.
I think those are a few things that I picked up from my dad, and just treat everybody the same. No, there's no you don't treat the CEO different than you treat the janitor, and
Mhm.
that's something that I think is really important. So
Man, that's
yeah,
great. I love the way you think, and I love what you're even teaching Tico, because just the man that you are is something that I would love to see more men be. We're not perfect, but we have our values, and we're going to persist, and we're going to strive to be the best that we can be. And the thing is, our kids are seeing that. So I know Tico is going to learn a lot, and he's going to turn out a whole lot better than what you think, because you're doing an excellent job.
I appreciate that, Mike. Yeah, and I think that uh, you can say whatever you want, and I can say, oh, I want to teach Tico blah 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 and make him this amazing person, but you know leading by example
You're
is the
right.
most important thing, and I hope that I continue to do a good job of that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think you will. Now,
yeah,
you
appreciate.
mentioned that, and when I was reading about Firestorm, that is a membership. How do you become a member?
Yeah, so there we do a bunch of events and meetings. There's some fun things that we do. We had a social event last night at the Hard Rock Cafe in Denver. So if you want any more information about that, if you're in a business development role, if you own a business, um, check out our website. It's just myfirestorm.com. And we, welcome guests to come and check out our meetings and events, and just kind of get a feel for what we're up to. And if it's something that people want to participate in, then they can inquire further about membership, and all that information's on our website as well. So you can
Okay.
look and read up on it before you visit. But yeah, we're always looking to meet new people, and I know your audience is probably not just in Colorado.
Hmm.
So we have some groups in Texas as well right now, and we're expanding across the nation. That's kind of my next goal, is to get us into all 50 states, and
Okay.
we've got kind of a track of I've lived in a few other spots, lived in Florida, lived in Arizona, lived in Minnesota, and there's remnants of groups around there. So,
Hmm.
if anybody wants to start something up in other towns, we're set up to do that now. So
Okay. Now with
yeah.
with the pandemic and all that, and people are just starting to come back out. Did you do a lot of the networking by Zoom, or are you going to continue to do that, or are you going to still have the events like you just had?
Yeah, we'll do both.
Okay.
We prior to the pandemic, we were all in person,
Mm-hmm.
and then COVID, we had everything via Zoom. And now coming out of it, we'll have a hybrid model. A lot of our groups are going to be in person. We'll have a lot of in-person events, the social events. We do speed networking. There's all sorts of things. We go to baseball games for fun.
Hmm.
But we'll also have Zoom calls where people can connect online. And so if you're in a town that doesn't have a group, or you're on vacation, you want to participate from wherever it is that you're vacationing. It's always fun when you get one of our members to jump on a call from their beach vacation in Cozumel or something. You get the ocean in the background, and I'm like, come on, man, did you really have to like show us that you guys are living your best life on the work call? So
Yeah, just a
yeah,
little bragging, you know.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, it might make you step up your game a little bit too.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Phil, I want to thank you for being a part of the show and really sharing your life with the audience and talking about, your wife and your son and how you two came together and how the three of you are working together. And one of the things that I really like from what you said is because I think a marriage is like a business. And the way you're talking about how you your wife do things, it seems like you really are running a business, and your family is in, and I mean in the sense of, this is our unit, and we take care of us first, and then
Yeah.
everybody else. So I really love what you're talking about, because that is something that I think really a lot of men should really be striving to do, and women, because one can't do it by themselves.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you experienced, if you have to do it on your own, then you'll make it work.
Yeah,
But if you're in it with somebody else, you better be a team and have everybody on the same page, because
yeah,
otherwise, you're just fighting an uphill battle. So
yeah, yeah. My wife and I, we are definitely a team. We discuss pretty much everything that we need to. We work together, uh, and we literally sometimes work together because we have a business together. So
yeah, cool.
yeah, and it's hard sometimes, but the fact that I know she's got my back and she knows I got her back, and we know that we're working to go in this direction, not one going here and one going over there, makes it
Yeah,
a whole lot easier and enjoyable.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Well, great. Well, Phil, thank you for being on our show today, and I really thank you for sharing all that information that you were giving us about being a father, and what you're doing for Tico and how you and your wife work together, and about Firestorm. I mean, that's a great networking business, and I wish I was back in Denver. And matter of fact, when I do come back, I'm gonna try to check it out and come to an event.
Yeah, that sounds great. I would appreciate it, Mike.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for today. And I really want to thank Phil Pelto for being on the show and talking to us about being a new father, what it's like, the challenges that he's had. And, we all going to have them. If you're a parent, if you're breathing, you're going to have challenges. And I love the way that him and his wife think. I love the way that they're raising their son. And I really do. So take a little bit about what he said and how he's doing things and see how you can mash that into your world if you're not doing it already. But if you are, I ask you, shoot me an email to thefathershow@gmail.com, and I would invite you to come on the show so you can share what you're doing and let other men know that they can be the best version of themselves. But if you have not subscribe to the show, please go to the Father Show with Mike Thompson's YouTube channel, hit that subscription button, and while you're there, hit the notification bell so that way whenever we put up a show, you be notified. And also for those men and mothers and wives and that have sons and husbands, if you're looking for resources, go to the Father Show with MikeThompson.com, click on resources, and there you will find national and statewide resources that can assist you in whatever situation that you may have. And once again, if you can't find that information, please email me at thefathershow@gmail.com. Let me know, and I do my best to find that information for you and get it over to you. And nobody else has to know. All right. So I thank you for joining us this week, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, God bless you all. Be safe, stay happy, and listen to what Phil had to say. All right. Thank you. See you next time.